I'm Linda Elsegood, founder of the LDN Research Trust. It has been my honour to interview LDN researchers, prescribers, pharmacists and patients from around the world for many conditions. Thank you for joining us.
This evening I'm joined by David from the United States, who takes LDN for Trigeminal Neuralgia and Ganglionopathy. Thank you for joining me, David.
Thank you.
Now, they were tongue twisters for me. Could you tell us when you first noticed there was something wrong with you?
Yes, I was having some problems sleeping, and there was a couple of events before that occurred, and then I went to a acupuncturist who stuck electric needles in my back without me realizing it was electric, and he shocked me very hard, and the massage before the electric needles was very hard. That also damaged my cervical on top of my neck.
Oh.
The bottom of my neck. And about 3 weeks after, I felt like the wind was on my back. And it was very weird, and it just continued day after day. And I went back to the acupuncturist, and he stated that it was all in my head. And obviously it wasn't. And then as time went by, it increased to my neck, it increased to my legs, my arms, and I was just dangling with nerves all throughout my body. And I just didn't understand what was going on. And then the doctors took over, and I went to many doctors who were more confused and just transferred me over to the next doctor and like a hot potato. And they just actually made it worse. And with many different drugs, and then I ended up in such bad shape. Finally, after years of convulsions and horrible drugs, I found out from a doctor that it was a neurologist that it was ganglionopathy and trigeminal neuralgia. So that was how that started, and I was in pretty bad shape. Well, one doctor led to another, and then I went on. I was taking this Synthroid medicine for my thyroid, and a doctor in a very big hospital, prominent hospital, stated for me to go off this Synthroid. And then afterwards, it just became worse and worse and worse, and I didn't have any energy to do anything after that point, because I was no longer having a thyroid. And that was that. And I was all by myself. Then I met this doctor from a friend of mine who was dying from cancer. And I tried to save her life, but I wasn't able to. And she ended up saving mine by sending me to this doctor who knew about thyroids. And he really didn't know, and he knew about thyroids, he knew about LDN. And he said I should definitely go on Naltrexone, so he put me on Naltrexone, which is a pig's gland, which is the closest thing to a human thyroid. So that got me functioning again. And then my face was in tremendous pain, as far as major pain, as far as trigeminal neuralgia is, where it feels like 1,000 bugs are biting your face all simultaneously. And it's a very difficult life when you have that. And then it went to my legs and my feet and my arms and all over the place. So thank God for this doctor who told me to try the LDN. And I read up on it, and it said that it was it said that I looked under the computer that it was a 50 milligram. Is for drug addicts and alcoholics, which I am not, so I never took the drug. So that was a huge mistake, obviously, because then as years went by, I noticed that I was not good. I called the doctor back up from New Jersey. I moved to Florida at that point, and he said, there's a drug called LDN that has been fantastic for trigeminal neuralgia and ganglionopathy. So I said, oh my God, I actually had that drug and I let it slip by me, not knowing, how good it was, because I wasn't in the proper state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I tried the LDN, excited, and the first few days, I took a 3 milligram dose and it was fantastic. I felt incredible. The shocks were going away in my legs and feet, and then I said, oh, let me do the 2 milligram because I read a book by Linda Elstood on LDN. So I said, oh, 2 milligrams is a good protocol, and I spoke to Skip's Pharmacy, who's an expert in the field of LDN, and he said that it's good to do 2 for the first month, and then 3 the second and third, and then 4.5 if needed. So I went with the protocol, and obviously it doesn't work for everybody, but everyone's different, as everyone knows, but it works for most people, so I go by percentages. So I went that route, and I was feeling pretty good, and then when I went to after 2 months, and then when I went to the 3 milligram, that's when I really started feeling a difference, and my neuropathy and my legs and feet were gone about 95%. And in my face, which is very, very difficult to handle, was down 90%. Oh, I'm sorry, 80% over the last month and a half. So it's been 5 months total, and I'm down about 80% in the trigeminal in the face, which is a horrific problem with the nerve damage, and very debilitating. And it's known as the suicide disease. Mm-hmm. So just tells you how bad it is. And with the LDN, I have gotten my life back, and having only 20% at a much lower feeling of the pins and needles in the face, or the bee stinging you, whatever you want to call it. It's that bad at times. Is down tremendously. It's very light, 20% now. So the LDN is just a miraculous drug. It's probably the greatest drug of the 20th century. And I'm up to now 4.5 milligrams, which is a fantastic dosage, and for me, and probably for most people. And it works out great. So I'm just excited every night that I go to sleep. I take the LDN. It's great for my sleep, which is fantastic. I haven't slept in 3.5 years before the LDN. It's just miraculous all the way around. So it's nice to have my life back. I'm going to start doing some traveling, which I haven't done in years, and I can't say enough about it. I can't say enough about it.
Well, that sounds totally amazing. Before you started LDN, David, if you had to rate your quality of life on a score of 1 to 10, and 10 being the best, what would it have been?
Well, before I started the LDN, it was a 1. I did get up to a 2. So because or a 3, the nature thyroid got my thyroid, because the thyroid is very important too, and part of the human body, very important. So yeah, so I was at a 3, and with the LDN has increased it to a 8.5, and I'm on it right now for 5.5 months. So I'm looking forward to even increasing it up to 9.5.
No,
9. Yeah, because I'll be happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what I've been through to get to 10 is really asking for too much. So, you know, I'll be happy. I'll be very, very happy with 9.5.
Well, I continued improving for 18 months, so let's hope you do too. But what an amazing, inspirational story. What would you say to other people in a similar situation to yourself if they've heard about LDN but haven't actually tried it? What would you like to say?
Yes, well, I tell people about it, and I go to Parkinson's meetings and MS meetings, and I tell them how valuable this is to try it, and you must try it give it at least 3 months. A lot of people have been bucking me out after a month, and I don't know why. There happens to be no side effects whatsoever. You know, very minimal at least. I did get a little dizzy a few times for 3 minutes, which is absolutely no big deal compared to you know, what I went through in the past with the trigeminal at full tilt. So you know, it's really nothing when you think about it, and you have to give it time. And a lot of people have gone on it and gotten off within a month, and it's a huge mistake because, you know, they're looking for instant results, and it just, you know, let's face it, where do you get instant results? If it's instant results, something's not going to be right. But with LDN, you can get instant results, but that's a small percentage. I was lucky; I did get it right pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. But then again, I started at the 3, so when I went down to the 2, it became more normalized. So that's what I would recommend, is definitely give it some time, and there's an excellent chance it's going to work out. Obviously, nothing is 100%, but I'll probably put it up in the 90 percentile. When I was at the bad state that I was in, the doctors made quite a few mistakes. My thyroid was basically taken away by the doctors by taking me off the Synthroid, which I don't really believe much in. And I wasn't taking any thyroid pill after being on one for 3 years. So I didn't have a thyroid. My nervous system was damaged tremendously from the acupuncturist and the massage and the chiropractor who twisted my neck. And that was completely damaged. And my hormones were taken away from taking testosterone for a few months incorrectly. The doctors were giving it to me. So basically I had no life left. I was basically, with the Lyrica that was given to me, I wasn't able to breathe at one point. I think I stopped breathing. Actually, I did stop breathing for about 15 seconds and was able to resuscitate myself with my willpower and my strong heart. I was told I have one of the strongest hearts in the world. So that was my savior. Otherwise, I wouldn't be alive. And so I basically died for a few seconds and came back, and was not in a good state after that, obviously, for years. And then the Naltrexone, which is another miracle pill, and the LDN is phenomenal, and that's it. Probably the greatest pill in the world in the 20th century is the LDN, and the Naltrexone is probably second. And that's what the situation is, that I was able to come back from death. And it's interesting, the awakening of being able to come back and seeing how valuable life is, and so many things to do and so many people to help, because that's really the most important thing in the world, is to be able to help people based on your bad situation of not living, and learning from that, and then transferring it over to people to help. Otherwise, what good is it if you don't? And that's it.
Well, what can I say to that? What an amazing, inspirational story. Thank you very much for sharing it with us.
Oh, thank you very much.
Do you have LDN experience to share? If so, please email me, linda@ldnrt.org. I look forward to hearing from you.